This plant is Arctostaphylos Howard McMinn, and it is a well-used California native. It's probably the most popular shrub variety of manzanita that I've seen, and I certainly use it quite a bit. So let me tell you what I like about it. Well, it's a California native, and because of that, it's very drought resistant. Once these are established, you can take them off irrigation water. And secondly, I really like that it's a good looking plant. A lot of the California natives can look a little rough, a little dry, but this is a plant that works well in most garden situations as well, and still it can kind of it has a little more tailored look. It's not gangly. It doesn't have that gray foliage that a lot of the more native-y, dry type plants have. So that's one of the nice things about it, is its general appearance is very nice. I've seen people prune this pretty severely, and it took it very well. A lot of native type plants don't take garden conditions well at all, but this one does. I've seen this one on regular irrigation water for many years, and it handles it just fine. When you start looking at the foliage, you start to see it's just got a very nice appearance. I'll include some photos of this in bloom. It has a beautiful white flower on it, and then the thing about manzanitas is the red stems, and gives it a beautiful appearance. And the older bark, you can see it here, has this really beautiful red mahogany type color. So how I use it in design is much like you see here. This designer has used it as a strip planting here. This is about 7 feet wide, and it's pretty much filled that in. I believe this planting is about 5 or 6 years old. They've kept these down at about 4 feet tall. Howard McMinn will reach 5 to 6 feet tall. I've seen very mature plantings that were right around 5 or 6 feet tall. So that's another nice thing about it, is it's got this size that as a designer I use all the time. If I'm trying to screen a fence line, but I don't want any more than that. You see this fence right here. If these mature and get up to the height of that fence, I'm a pretty happy designer, because I've screened out a fence that over time isn't going to look so good, and yet I'm not creating a maintenance burden for the maintenance person, because they don't have to top it once it gets up to 6 feet tall. So spacing, I would say 5 feet on center is a good spacing. You'll get a good infill like you see here, and that's pretty much it. Full sun, part shade. I've seen these under the canopies of trees. They'll do okay there. They prefer full sun, but they'll certainly handle a little bit of shade. And they're good near the coast as well. This is a hot inland valley, and they handle that just fine in full sun. And deer resistant. So manzanitas are supposed to be deer resistant. You would think a native has to survive deer. I've had mixed results with this in deer. Mostly they leave it alone. Once it got established, they left it alone. But when they were brand new plants, I have had the deer chew on this. So just be aware, it's not 100% deer resistant by any means. Whereas the ground cover emerald carpet, that's probably 90% of the time they'll leave this alone. I'd say this guy is about 70% they'll leave it alone. So kind of check out your situation before you go crazy with these if you've got a deer situation. And that is Howard McMinn manzanita, Arctostaphylos Howard McMinn. Here's a mature example of Arctostaphylos Howard McMinn, and the gardeners have pruned the understory. Also, these are under mature trees, and they're doing just fine. These are fairly old plants, and see that really nice red bark. So this is another way you can treat them. And by the way, height-wise, these are about 6.5 feet or so. So in terms of height, that 5 to 6 feet seems to be in the right range. I said 5 to 7 feet. So yeah, 6 to 7 feet's where they've capped out, and this is another way you can treat them. See how they've used a ground cover underneath as they've matured.